Well, it's a busy first day back on Capitol Hill. In just a few hours, new members of the Senate will be sworn in by Vice President Kamala Harris, and Republicans will take control of the upper chamber. Meanwhile, members of Congress will vote today to decide if House Speaker Mike Johnson will retain the gavel this session. Earlier this morning, he shared a message for his colleagues ahead of the vote.
My simple message to my colleagues is make suggestions about process improvements. We're open to that at all times, but I don't make deals with anyone. There's no quid pro quo here. I don't do anything in exchange for a vote other than commit to make this institution work as effectively and efficiently as possible.
And CBS News political reporter Taurean Small is on Capitol Hill with us. Taurean, thanks for joining us. First off, how close is this vote going to get? Is Speaker Johnson in trouble here?
Yeah, I would say so. And just based off of those comments that he just made there, it's clear that there are some backdoor deals trying to happen. In fact, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee confirmed to us that members of the House Freedom Caucus are eyeing a chairmanship for Congressman Chip Roy of Texas for the House Rules Committee. Speaker Johnson there saying that he's not in the mood to be doing deals at this point, but he is open to hearing from other members of his conference about how this process should move going forward. Now, when it comes to numbers, it doesn't appear like they are in Speaker Johnson's favor. To remind you, in November, Republicans picked up 220 seats in the House. Republican Matt Gaetz of Florida retired last session and decided he won't be returning for this one. That means there are now 219 seats available for House Republicans here. Democrats have 215, so the magic number is 1. Johnson can only afford to lose one Republican vote, and right now we have at least a handful of members saying they're non-committal at best, others saying they just absolutely cannot support Johnson this time around.
Well, Taurean, the election certification is just days away. Is there pressure on Republicans to essentially get their house in order?
Yeah, and this will be the test of Donald Trump's lasting influence over the Republican Party. What's interesting about this is it's members of the far-right flank that appear to be at odds with the agenda or will of Donald Trump, like Chip Roy there, like Thomas Massie of Kentucky. Those are Republicans, I should mention, who did support his primary opponent, Ron DeSantis, in the primary, but have ultimately come around. They're at odds with his pick for Speaker, which is Mike Johnson, because they disagree with how he's handled not just this process so far when it comes to committee appointments, but also with the continuing resolution. Donald Trump wanted House Republicans, both in September and in December, to not play ball with Democrats, to allow a government shutdown to happen in order to get his agenda through early. That didn't happen, obviously, because of the help of Democrats that Johnson was willing to work with.
Now, can you talk us through the swearing-in process that's about to take place? Yeah,
on the Senate side, it will see new members sworn in by President of the Senate, which we know as Vice President Kamala Harris. Could be an awkward situation considering she did run for president and lost in many of the members that she's swearing in because Republicans have overtaken that chamber. Ran really with her at the top of their messaging, saying that she would be bad for the country moving forward. She now joins Richard Nixon, Al Gore as failed presidential bids, returning to swear in the Senate, although she won't be returning to the White House. So that's happening on the Senate side. When it comes to the House, swearing in won't happen until a speaker is elected. That's not clear at the moment if that will happen tonight. But as we saw with Kevin McCarthy, as he went through 15 rounds of this, it could be a while before House members at least are sworn in.
All right, a lot of things up in the air. Taurean Small, thank you. Now, on the backdrop of that House Speaker vote, there are 17 days until President-elect Donald Trump steps into office. CBS News political reporter Libby Cathey has more from the Trump campaign in West Palm Beach, Florida. Libby, now, House Speaker Mike Johnson did get a Trump endorsement. What can you tell us about their relationship, and how big is that endorsement?
That's right, Michael. Hugely influential endorsement. And we actually just heard again from President-elect Donald Trump this morning reinforce that endorsement of Speaker Johnson. Posting to Truth Social, Trump said Johnson is a fine man of great ability who is very close to having 100% support, seemingly nodding at the fact that Johnson does still have a few holdouts. And we're waiting to see the math on if he will be able to secure this vote after the first round or if it will take more. But Trump reinforcing that Johnson is his man today over Truth Social. This after he formally endorsed Johnson on Monday. Johnson visited Mar-a-Lago on Wednesday night to have strategy sessions with President Trump. Trump also told reporters outside of his New Year's Eve bash that he thinks Johnson is the man for the job and also the only man he thinks can get enough support right now. So Johnson and Trump have had a good relationship, they say, a good working relationship over the last 2 years. And it's important for Trump, as Taurean just laid out there, to have this speaker vote go through today. So on Monday, the House of Representatives can certify his electoral victory. That's why he wants to see Johnson elevated and elevated today at that. But Johnson and Trump meeting Wednesday at Mar-a-Lago for those strategy sessions. Trump re-elevating that endorsement today, and Johnson also thanking him over social media, trying to put out that message and show that public support, Michael.
And also, Libby, we've been following a lot of major news events like the aftermath of the deadly terror attack in New Orleans, that Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas at a Trump property. So how is the Trump camp reacting, and are they concerned about Inauguration Day security?
Yeah, well, the Trump transition team responding, really taking cues from the president-elect and how he has responded, really making those incidents an issue of immigration to the detest of some. But Trump and the transition team saying that all the inauguration events are going to go on as planned, that Trump will be inaugurated come January 20th. Now, there's also 3 days of events around that inauguration where they will have beefed up security. The inaugural ball is a national security event designated by Homeland Security. So there's already going to be an elevated security presence that week. On top of that, next week, as we just mentioned, on Monday, you're going to have the certification of Trump's victory. Later on in the week, it's going to be former President Jimmy Carter's funeral in Washington. He will lie in state at the Capitol. So several events in Washington that are going to have elevated security, including that inauguration. While the Trump transition team has had many qualms with the Biden administration, they are projecting confidence that these events will go on as normal. And that does include a rally the night before the inauguration in Washington, D.C. Michael.
Yeah, Libby, let's talk about that rally that Donald Trump is planning before the inauguration. What do we know about that right now?
Yeah, Michael, so this is his big victory rally. It's the first time we're going to see Trump back on the rally stage since Election Day. This will be the afternoon before Inauguration Day, Sunday, January 19th in Washington, D.C. at Capital One Arena. That venue can fit some 20,000 guests, so expected to be a big event, and we are staying tuned for special guests, Michael.
All right, Libby, Cathey in West Palm Beach, thanks.